Hi everyone, my name is Ashley McCracken. I'm a student at Kennesaw State University in a health communications class this semester. And I was challenged with the project of picking a controversial health topic to review and investigate, kind of decide what final conclusion of was on it, whether it was good or bad. So the topic I chose to do was called the No-Poo method. The No-Poo method does not sound like what the title says. It's actually a hair care cleansing technique. And to get started, I will explain what it is. So the no-poo method is the idea of no longer using products onto your hair. This would include things like shampoo, cleansing conditioners, and different products such as that. The idea is to go all natural. It is supposed to be a greener solution. You are letting all of these harsh chemicals that are found in shampoos, you're substituting them for different kind of things such as apple cider vinegar. I saw some about baking soda, using eggs, mayonnaise, all kinds of different crazy things in place of using shampoos that can contain really harsh chemicals. They also are open to using cleansing conditioners. So it is some people are still using products. They are just not using cleansing shampoos that are traditional, like what you would find at Walmart or the supermarket. But the OG version of what the no poo method actually is it's just simply water. So you'd hop in the shower, you'd scrub your scalp, and then you get out. But you wouldn't add anything to your hair, is the idea of it in general. And then it slowly kind of evolved. This really sparked in 2018 on social media. And it's still grown steadily, but it hasn't hit an all-time high. So there is not a lot of scientific studies done on it, which I will discuss later. So really learning about it is mainly coming from people's experiences. So during this presentation, I'm going to talk about 3 different databases that I was able to investigate on. The first one was an internet and social media analysis. The following one was an empirical review over what experts really chose to say. And then my last one was an expert interview with a woman named Ansley that has a bachelor's degree in education as well as in teaching, as well as a master's degree in cosmetology. So she knows everything about optimum hair and skin health. So to get started, I'm going to talk about my internet and social media analysis. What I went off of was TikTok, watching people's videos. They talked a lot about their experiences, or there was a lot of dermatologists that talked about the pros and cons of it. I also went through Twitter, which was really helpful because I was able to find threads that discussed the experiences of these individuals. And then I was also able to go onto online threads, which would be kind of like blog posts where people would talk about their experiences, and then everything following it would tell them about like what they did or what they were going through. And I feel like here is where I saw a lot of people finding out the ideas of using egg whites in their hair, or baking soda and vinegar combined it to really clean their scalp. So the next slide is the benefits. These are the main 5 points that I got and took out of the social media analysis. So the first one being is it was taking your hair back to its natural state. It's kind of confusing, but what it really means is like when you're using these harsh products, it can take curly hair and make it straight and make it flat and frizzy. But when you take all of these harsh chemicals out of the like equation, then your hair is going back to these bouncy curls, exactly what you want. It has more oil, and it's just much better for these individuals in general. The next big point was that there are less chemicals being used. And this was a lot of it was going like less chemicals going down the drain into the water system. I think that's great. So it's a more greener approach. But it's also less chemicals that you're putting onto your body. I feel like right now, the trend that we are in our generation is that we're trying to take out anything that we can to make ourselves healthier and promote better wellness all around, which is the goal. And we want to keep getting there and be the healthiest versions we can, at least by 2030. So I think this is a really good step. And then the next point was the natural oils itself. This is called sebum. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more on the con slide, but these natural oils, the idea is that the sebum and everything's going to start up here, and people are going to dry brush and push all that oil down all the way until the ends of their hair. And this oil is going to eventually keep the idea of hair growth. So if there's more oil, there's going to be less breakage, and it would promote more hair for longer lengths. Your hair is just going to get longer and longer because it's not breaking off so much with the way that it would be if you're using these harsh chemicals that are stripping your hair of these oils that like you do need to keep your hair healthy. And then the last thing, it goes back to that oil, is these stronger bonds are being created for your hair, that are making it less like elasticy, where it's like poppy. It's making it actually stronger, so your hair is better well off just in general. So these were the main primary 5 drawbacks from the social media analysis that I did. The first one being, and this was in common across all the videos, was that it's not really clean. So these individuals are, maybe they're just doing water. They're doing like the original No-Poo method, and their hair strands, the hair scalp, the hair skin is not actually being cleansed. And this is a really big topic that it's leading to later on issues. And they also discussed that there was harsh ingredients. So a lot of these harsh ingredients would be from products that are on the market, such as, at different stores and everything. And they're really, really damaging to your skin health, your actual health itself, and different things like that. These can also lead into dandruff and itchy scalps and different problems. The picture that I added on here is probably an image of sclerosis more so, but one of the problems that kind of come from everything is that this dandruff and itchy stuff is just build up of the skin in general. It's not so much everything else. They later talk about sebum buildup, which would be all that oil that's building up. So instead of maybe it being dry and itchy, it's got all this oil that's being produced and stuck up here, and it's trapping everything. So I included this diagram. So as you can see, there's like the hair follicle down here, and there's the sebaceous gland, which is what creates the oil in the sebum. And that sebum is seeped out from the gland. It goes up, it goes onto the hair, it goes out into the hair and down. So the idea with doing the No-Poo method is that you can brush and brush and brush that sebum and the oil all the way down to the ends to protect your hair. But ideally, because you're not having any product to move or anything to move it down, it's all sitting up here, and it's kind of like a pimple, like you have a clogged pore. It could also lead to pore infections where everything's just being trapped in there, ingrown hairs, things like that. And then one of the things that came up when we were talking about that, or looking at it and seeing it from people's point of views, was there's yeast buildup that's going on in the hair. So it can actually lead to a lot more infections than I think people realize. And that was something that was discussed a lot. And then we went into the empirical evidence summary. So with this summary, I looked on Google Scholar and found reputable sources that discuss this thing. So this approach. So as I was speaking of earlier, there hasn't been a study of the No-Poo method success. So it just hasn't happened yet. And I'm sure it will happen eventually as it grows in popularity through social media. But what I did find was a lot of stuff that discussed the harmful products of cleansing techniques, such as like shampoo and things like that. And there was also like this one study where they had people do the No-Poo method and stop using products just to see what was going on with their skin in general, and try to find like that core issue, that underlying issue that people were having. And the biggest takeaway from all of my sources was that you just need to self-educate. So really learn about what is good, what is bad, be able to read labels, be able to understand what you're putting on your skin, your hair, you're breathing in, you're putting down the drain, etc. It also talked about the sebum, and more specifically, I hadn't heard this during the internet analysis, was cortisol. And both of those are getting stuck and they're not being released from your head, which is an issue because it can cause those further problems such as the yeast or the sclerosis, all kind, the dandruff, everything, all of those issues, and that's really not healthy. Following this one, I went into my expert interview summary with Ansley Johnson. And again, she has a master's degree in cosmetology as well as a bachelor's degree in education. Ansley was the best person I could have interviewed. She really took everything from the social media analysis in my empirical review and mentioned it. Like, she hit all the topics and she really acknowledged every person's like feelings on it. She explained that the experiences people were having are valid, because if somebody is had that curly hair and they're using these harsh shampoos and products and it's taking away that natural thing, whenever they try out the No-Poo method, their hair goes back to the way it was when they were a little kid. And that is like ideal. That's what people want. But the real issue is they're doing it in a way that's not necessarily healthy, because you don't have to go no-poo and not be taking care of your hair to get these things back. You just need to be making healthier options for your own personal self. Her final conclusion on our entire interview was that it is best to speak to like a professional and really get their opinions on what is going to be best for you. And then her biggest thing that she said, just in general, as like a piece of advice, is that everyone's very diverse with their hair and their skin. So really, there's no one size fits all. So it could be different for every single person, and it's really hard to decipher that. But that's why it's so important to be able to self educate. With all three of these databases, I personally came to the conclusion that I would not recommend the No-Poo method at this time. I think if there is more reviews and maybe some studies done, that it will be more seeked out and people will want to do it a lot more. My final conclusion from all the three databases in general, though, is that it's most important to self-educate. So whether you're self-educating about the products that are being used on your hair, such as shampoo and conditioner traditionally, or if it's about the baking soda, the vinegar, if it's safe, if it's practical to use, that's where you really need to be self-educating. And I talked about this a lot in my paper, but knowing the balance between empiricism and popularity. So empiricism, like really, if you're having a reaction on your skin, stop using it and just use your best morals and opinions, judgment to get through what you're going through. But also popularity is really important. So knowing that a lot of people do support this or don't support this, like review that, but also apply your empiricism to see, is this reputable source? Like, is this accurate? Should I be believing this? Etc. It's just very important. And then above all, talk to a professional, talk to your hairdresser, a dermatologist, your doctor, etc. But overall consensus, I would not try out this method at this time. And I hope if you were seeking to find information on it, if you should or you shouldn't, that this was beneficial and helpful for you. And I wish you the best of luck on promoting your overall healthy hair journey.